Do it again, do it again.
Let me just turn off my Facebook so I don't get distracted or like, I got a message, but I need to ignore it.
And it's like, ooh, someone likes me.
Oh, please, Andy. We both know full well at this point that nobody likes me. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Other People podcast. Yes, I'm going to leave that part in because my sense of
Because
humor
he's
is dark and fucked
self-defecating,
up.
folks.
Yes. So welcome to the Other People podcast. I'm your host, as always, Jordan. Joining me, as usual, is my co-host and good friend, Andy.
Yo, what's up?
So this podcast discussion is going to be about a bit of a subject of controversy. Everybody, GearBox software. As we all know, they have a very big reputation with their first-person shooter franchise, Borderlands.
Mm-hmm.
And as
Is that
it's
basically their only good franchise at this point?
from what I've been reading and understand, they did do a lot of development work on the Half-Life series, but basically they were helping them make all of their DLC and expansion packs and such. They also have notes of working on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, James Bond 007 Nightfire, Halo Combat Evolved, Counter-Strike, Condition Zero.
Okay, so, they've been around.
Well, and I have to imagine that for games like that, they were a small development who was, just helping out with some background stuff or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because in all of Halo, I had never heard their name being involved anywhere in there. So I imagine if they did work on it, it was. It looks
Probably
like
a pretty minor role.
it looks like that they were working on a port for the PC version. I believe is what it says. So, though I understand that the Brothers in Arms series, I believe, was their own development.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least may have been. It looks like it was independently owned, and it was developed for the PC and Xbox consoles. And then they helped do a bunch of the sequels. So I don't know if that was also a property that they solely worked on or what. But primarily we're having this conversation because of the fact that two big slights on their record, and that is Duke Nukem Forever and Aliens Colonial Marines, which, Andy, you just recently bought, played, and beat. How many times have you beaten it?
I think I'm up to 3 times now.
Jesus. And
Yeah.
I played the Duke Nukem Forever game. Hell, I remember following the story for quite a while about how it had just been in development. Originally, it was supposed to come out in 2001, I believe, or at least that was the original plan, because they showed some gameplay footage at E3, and then it just never came out, and they were working on it and just wanting it to look as best as it could be. And so every time a new piece of technology came out, they would, it's got to look like that. And it's
basically it suffered through development hell.
really, to me, it sounds like it suffered from really bad ego. In that this game's got to be the best it's got to be, and it's got to copy all these other popular first-person shooters. Like, it can't have its own original identity or anything like that.
Which kind of defeats the whole purpose of Duke Nukem, because that was kind of what made it fun to begin with.
Kind of, yeah. And I remember reading, I believe in Game Informer at one point, talking about how Duke Nukem Forever was canceled because 3D Realms had gone bankrupt, and that was kind of it. And then a couple of months later at PAX, they have a big booth for Duke Nukem Forever, and they say, yes, it's coming out, and it's now being worked on by GearBox, who I hadn't heard of at that point. I don't even know if I had played Borderlands or anything like that yet. And they showed a gameplay trailer of it and said, yes, we hope to have it out here in some odd months. And sure enough, it came out, and I rented it because I did still have some interest in it, being a fan mostly of Duke Nukem 3D for the most part. And I played it, and god damn is that game boring. It is boring as hell. I mean, there's nothing better than playing a first-person shooter that is mired in platforming puzzles, a little race car puzzle that goes on way too fucking long, and then even when you do get to the action, you die really easily. Yeah, it was no fun.
Yeah.
It was no fun at all. And I mean, Duke Nukem did occasionally have a reference. Now bear in mind, I've only played Duke Nukem 3D, and I've seen some of the original Duke Nukem games that started off as just side-scrolling shooters originally.
Mm-hmm.
And Duke Nukem never really had any kind of reference jokes or anything like that. Where like they were poking fun at like other more popular games or anything like that. It was some semi-pop culture references, namely in that the character, would quote lines from like Army of Darkness or They Live, and stuff like that. With iconic lines like, I'm here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, but I'm all out of gum, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas in here, he takes a pot shot at Halo, which I never did get to that part when he says the line about how power armor is for pussies and there was another. Oh yeah, there's a god. Okay, so did you hear about the whole Christian Bale rant?
Yeah,
thing?
blowing up about this tech dropping lights or something.
Well, from what I understand, the guy kept on walking in on the shot.
Yeah.
And so anyway, they have that reference in there, but it's a full-on quote reference. And serves no purpose other than to be like, hey, you guys remember this? Well, another part of it is that, hey, you can punch the guy in the face and knock him out.
Woo!
It feels like a really, it just feels like a typical joke from a Freeburg and Seltzer movie. That's not funny, that's just a reference to, hey, this movie's currently popular. And so it was like, hey, this meme is currently popular, or at least it was maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, it didn't look very good. I can't remember which platform I played it on. It was probably 360. And the load times were terrible. I didn't try to play online because my internet was bad. And it was just a really boring game.
And shitty.
And it just wasn't any fun. And I mean, it made me, harken back to, Duke Nukem 3D was a lot funner than this. Where it just cut through the bullshit and just put you into the action, and the action was fast and intense and fun. And this wasn't. It was just really, really boring. Now, I don't blame that on GearBox. That was all on 3D Realms. All GearBox did was they went in and they
tried to clean it up as best they could.
And then put it out. And sadly, it was a shitty game.
Yeah.
But Gearbox does own the rights. They haven't really done anything with it yet. So who knows? And that brings us to Aliens Colonial Marines, which, did you have any original anticipation or interest when you heard about this? either?
A little bit, until they started talking about how they were going back to the planet from aliens. I'm just like, bullshit.
Kind of, yeah.
They can't go back there. The colony would be a smoldering crater.
Mm-hmm.
Which is still the biggest problem I have with that game, but...
Yeah. I mean, hell, I remember asking, like, how can you go back there? There's nothing there.
And then I, like, heard, like, a couple of things, like how Hicks is in it. I'm just like, how can Hicks be in it?
Yeah, he's supposed to be dead.
Dead!
Yeah. Well, and they have
I mean, yeah, they did explain it a little bit, but
they didn't explain it very well, from what I understand.
No!
It's just,
It
well, it would be too long of a story for me to explain it. And we're really too lazy to explain it. So, fuck you.
It kind of makes you think it's like, they probably, like, had something to explain it later.
Well, from what I understand, and from what I've been reading about, Aliens Colonial Marines had a lot of problems and a lot of controversy behind it too, because apparently, while GearBox was supposed to be working on this, and they were still receiving money from Sega, they were taking a lot of their teams and having them work on Borderlands. Now, I don't know how much of that is true. A lot of this information just comes off of Wikipedia, and Sega caught wind of it, and that was kind of why Aliens Colonial Marines was originally canceled. Because they felt like, well, you're stealing money from us, and you're not even working on the project that we gave you.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, you got a damn good reason there. But then there was another story that came out that apparently GearBox was putting a lot of their own money into working on Aliens Colonial Marines as well. But there's also the fact that apparently there were 3 different third-party developers who GearBox, shoved the game off on to work on, from Demerge Studios, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, Nerve Software, and of course Timegate. And according to this, Timegate was had responsibility for the majority of the game campaign. It looks like Demerge and Nerve worked on a lot of the downloadable content, and it doesn't really say exactly what GearBox was working on. I mean, I imagine they were, too busy trying to work on a lot of their Borderlands stuff, which just makes me wonder, like, if you have a project that you're really passionate about, why don't you put that on hold and work on this project now?
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose I can understand, given how, these guys have deadlines that they have to meet.
Yeah, and
and
kind of sounds like Sega was kind of being very demanding that they wanted it out.
Well, and the game had, they had been working on it for quite a few years now. As I understand it, when the game had been canceled, that was in, like, I think 2009, 2010 or something like that. I'm not really sure. Or probably even earlier than that. Because
who knows?
Because it looks like in 2008, GearBox had taken up the Aliens Colonial Marines franchise. And, the game didn't come out until about, like, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so that's quite a development time.
Yeah.
Now, and I'll admit, when I first heard about it, I really didn't care all that much. Namely because, I hadn't played a really good Aliens game up to that point.
That's kind of the thing.
A
lot of them have not been very good.
Yeah. Other than the Aliens versus Predator game, but that was a pretty simple, beat 'em up game.
Yeah, and it was pretty much just the arcade.
Yeah. And it was a lot of fun, too.
Yeah, and actually, quite frankly, had a better story.
Well, there really wasn't much of a story, and aliens are on Earth, and predators show up. Okay,
was it
let's
on
kill
Earth?
them.
No, I don't think it was on Earth.
I thought it took place, like, somewhere in San Francisco or something like that. Oh well. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Who the hell knows?
Who knows and who really cares? And so when I heard about this, I thought, we'll see. And then I heard about the huge controversy and so many people freaking out, going, oh my god, this is the worst game ever. My faith in video games has been destroyed. Like, really? This is the game that did that to you? And
like, wow, how bad can this game be?
And I think, well, hell, I mean, we did a Let's Play on it.
Yeah.
And it was probably about a year or so after the game had been out, and I got a $20 copy, as did you.
Yeah, and that's about what it's worth.
Yeah. And Brandon and we played it for about a half hour, and if I remember correctly, I think he said that like he felt pretty bored by it.
Yeah, as I remember correctly, you guys didn't even really get off the Sulaco.
No. I remember thinking like, well, this plays all right. I mean, the graphics themselves are really not impressing me at all.
Yeah, they're not terrible.
Yeah.
I've seen worse, but...
Yeah. Well, I mean, what was kind of distracting to me was that a lot of the... model characters look like last-gen gaming models. Like, they look really plasticky.
Yeah. They kind of had that action figure type look to it, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but...
It can be a little distracting at times.
Yeah, and they kind of all looked uniform. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of difference between them.
Mm-hmm. And I remember some of the game... Well, hell, I mean, we really didn't play that much of it. And, I mean... I remember being slightly enticed when during a battle, one of the aliens I was fighting, I guess had crawled underneath the floor grating and then, went and actually turned up behind me.
Yeah.
Either that or maybe that was a glitch, for all I know. And that's what I'd like to think what actually happened. And that made me go, oh, okay, well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I don't think it is there's not really that many glitches in it. There's like the standard glitches to where you'll like see like people melting from the walls for some reason.
Yeah.
But that's pretty standard now.
Yeah. What's the name of the AI character? O'Neill, who's always following you around.
What? Oh, yeah.
The guy with the smart gun. And
yeah.
Does he help, or is he just kind of there?
He kind of helps.
Yeah, I guess.
There's like a couple of scenes. It's like, are you actually going to shoot these things, or am I going to do this entire thing myself?
Okay, so you've played the game about 3 times. What were the difficulties that you played it on?
Soldier and the hard difficulty.
Okay. Would you say the game was actually challenging, or?
Not really.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I've heard about the challenge factor. I don't even remember what difficulty level that Brandon and I played it on. We might have played it on normal.
Yeah.
And again,
that's basically what Soldier is basically normal. I can't remember what the entire thing is. I think there's Recruit, Soldier, Veteran, and Badass.
Yeah. Did you play it on Badass, or?
Nah, not yet.
Okay.
I'm going to eventually, maybe.
Okay. And to be fair, we only played it for about a half hour. But yeah.
Yeah, you saw a good portion of it.
Yeah.
The game's pretty short.
Yeah.
Well, at least the campaign is, anyway.
Yeah.
How I don't have the internet, I can't really play online against other people, so I can't really do the multiplayer stuff. So
yeah. Well, and we didn't even look at that. I do wonder if it still exists. It might.
There might be like a few hardcore fans on it.
Yeah. Well, as I understand that, like that was the one saving grace about it. Was that the online, especially to be able to play as different types of aliens.
Yeah.
Which sounds kind of cool.
I did actually kind of look at that a little bit. And, you do have 3 types of aliens. There's the regular soldier type alien that does all the claw attacks and stuff.
Mm.
The spitter one, which you meet sometime in the campaign, that basically spits acid at you.
Mm.
And then the lurker, and that's the ones that usually crawl on the ceilings and the gratings and stuff.
Yeah. You wouldn't think there would need to be 3 different types of aliens for that.
Yeah, but...
I mean, because one alien can do, and is supposed to do, all of that, but whatever.
They decided to divide them up.
Yeah. And, I mean, I understand there are quite a few other different classes that you unlock as you play, which is pretty typical.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, other than that, I had no interest in it, and then when I heard that it was garbage, it just kind of made me think even more, well, now I really have no interest in playing it if it's dog shit.
And to be fair, it really doesn't play that bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty generic, but
yeah,
it plays all right.
Yeah, well, and that's always a problem. Well, and that's always a problem with a game that gets talked about so much, and then that's been in development for so damn long.
Yeah.
And then the development team talks about it so damn much and says, "Oh my God, this is gonna be so awesome." And then it comes out, and then
they hyped it way too much.
Well, and it didn't help either that like a lot of the things that they were showing are not in the game.
Yeah.
At all. Go
ahead.
Along with whatever so-called dynamic and original character story that they were talking about, there is none.
You kind of play this guy named Chris Winter, and he's generic as fuck.
Well, I understand all of the Marines are generic.
Yeah, sadly, there was potential there. You can kind of see it.
Yeah.
Like, had they moved in the customized Marine thing from the multiplayer over into the single-player campaign, you could have had something there.
Yeah. Well, and I imagine what probably happened as well was that a lot of stuff got cut because the game, I imagine, was pretty rushed.
Yeah.
I mean, it certainly probably feels rushed.
Yeah.
Especially given the fact that there were many stories that came out about people who were playing the game on the hardest difficulty and they could just run through the levels without encountering any enemies at all, because that's how bad the AI was.
Yeah, I didn't quite run across that, but...
Yeah. Well, you probably, weren't trying to do that either.
Yeah.
People were just, I guess seeing like, can I run through the level without encountering enemies? Yes, I can. Wow. That is so shitty.
Yeah. Actually, one of the biggest disappointments is the end boss with the alien queen.
Yep.
That entire scene was begging for a recreation of the scene in Aliens when Ripley was fighting the alien queen with the power loader. Mm-hmm. And they didn't do it.
Hell, there's not even a fight at all, is there?
Yeah, no, basically you're avoiding the thing, trying to get it to go to a certain spot so you can run over to this other spot, hit a switch, run back into a hiding spot, wait for the other switch to activate, get the alien queen to go someplace else away from it so you can run over and hit that switch 3 fucking times, and then finally you use the launch thing to send her off there, and then this one, I think, colonel? Was he a colonel? Yeah, I think he was a colonel. Basically uses the ship that you boarded it with, the fighter, to basically shove it out the thing anyway.
Yeah.
So basically the entire fucking thing was pointless.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's
I
pretty...
mean, it did have a scene to where you did fight an alien with a power loader.
Yeah.
But come on!
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like the most boring fight possible.
Yeah.
Where there's not really even a fight.
Well, there is a little bit. He does headbutt you a couple times, but that's about it.
No, I meant with the queen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not even a fight, because you can shoot her, but it doesn't do any good.
Yeah. Yeah, which is kind of, it's like, why even have this, if this is all this is?
Yeah. And then you finally get in there to confront Michael Whalen, and it turns out he's a synthetic.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
And
for those of you who even give a shit.
Yeah. Well, and I remember I saw the end cinematic, and I'll just say right now, the voice acting all over this game is terrible.
You can kind of tell that the actors, even the dude who plays Hicks, whose name I can't remember, just, they weren't having fun.
It's Michael Biehn.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, man. And I mean, he was in another game that came out about that same year. The game that I've been telling you about for quite a while,
Yeah,
the Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon.
Yeah.
And he does a better job in that, and he's, just playing, just a cheesy, 80s character.
Yeah, you could tell he was having fun.
Yeah. And in this
he just wasn't. You can tell he's just not having any fun. He's phoning it in, folks.
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, like, when you have somebody who delivers a line like, "Oh, I'm back on this planet again." Like,
yeah.
Oh dear.
And he does in that exact tone of voice too.
Yeah, and I mean, everybody's acting is pretty damn bad.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the most annoying one was the Colonel. Because he just sounded he sounded way too cheesy. Especially for some of the...
Yeah, I kind of hate to say, he was kind of too into it, it sounded like.
And maybe that was sometimes, supposed to be the point. And, like, I can understand what they were trying to do. Like, obviously they were trying to capture the original character of Apone.
Yeah,
but,
the sergeant.
But let me just say, you know what? If you want Apone, get Apone. Or
I don't see how they could, because he's dead.
Well, well, I would say in that case, like, you know what? If you want to do an Aliens video game, I would say, you know what? Fuck it. Just do Aliens.
Yeah. Do a first-person version of Aliens.
I mean, yeah, sure. We all know how it's going to end and all that, but hey,
fuck it. You could still make some interesting things with it.
Yeah. And, and I would love, to see those characters again. I mean, just talking about this does kind of make me want to sit down and watch Aliens again. And, and it's just, it's really disappointing because, Aliens was a really great, sort of standalone sequel, from the movie series. And ever since then, they've never really been able to get it right. And there have been a lot of...
Alien 3 was...
meh.
Yeah, it was kind of a meh.
And then Alien 4 was dog shit.
Oh, big time.
I mean, yeah, I liked it at the time, but when I look back on it now, yeah, that movie was stupid.
It's kind of hard to defend it.
Yeah. And there have been a lot of Aliens games, and there's probably only a small handful of them that are actually good.
Mm-hmm.
and I imagine the ones that you could say that were really good are probably a lot of the arcade games where, hell, well, a lot of the Aliens arcade games were just recreations of Aliens, whether they were side scrollers or first person shooters, or stuff like that. And then this one, and this one was trying to do something somewhat original in that same universe, and just kind of trying to tell its own story, but they did a really bad, but
they did a bad job of it.
The story was boring and generic. It really made no sense. They tried to, make up this new continuity and then try and say that it was canon, and try to discount 3 and 4, but they didn't do a very good job of explaining, okay, well, where did all these other aliens that are on the Sulaco come from? Where is Ripley and Newt? Are they dead? And and
and the biggest thing is, why is the colony still there? It's like, it's got some damage to it.
I would imagine.
But, let's face it. It was a thermonuclear explosion. There'd be nothing left but a crater. And even if there was stuff left, the radiation would kill you.
I would think what would have been a better way to try and tell this story, or at least try and explain it, was that because Weyland-Yutani is there on that planet.
Yeah.
They are there.
The scene where they go back to the ship from the first Alien movie.
Yeah.
If they had just stuck with that.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine that had been far out enough that it wouldn't have been affected by the explosion or the radiation that had been left. If they just stuck with that.
Well, and what else I was going to say was that because Weyland-Yutani is on the planet, maybe they set up another colony, but in that case, and maybe for that story to work, it would have to take place maybe another couple of years later.
Yeah, instead of a few months.
Yeah. And hey, and for all we know, the alien ship is probably still intact. We don't really know how far away from the colony it was.
Yeah, you kind of get a rough idea, but not really.
Yeah. And you could always try and be creative and say, like, well...
there were things that they could have done.
Yeah, there were better things that they could have done.
They just didn't.
Well, or maybe they tried to do it and it got cut.
Well, yeah, there is that.
We may never know, but what we do know, okay, what would you say about
I think they had an idea, and I don't know if it's GearBox's fault, if it's Sega's fault.
I think it's GearBox's fault, because that was their development.
Yeah.
Well, actually, they're probably.
But they were developing it for Sega, so Sega would have had lots of things to say about it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, as I was getting to, and somebody just it's like, we want this out now. But we're not done. We're nowhere near done. It's like, I don't care. We want it out now.
Yeah.
All that stuff that you want to do, it's like, you don't need it. Fuck it.
Don't need it. Throw it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say overall about the game? Would you say it's okay, or?
It's slightly below average,
mm.
as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, if I were to review it, I would get a 4.5 out of 10.
Mm.
So, kind of on the lower end of average.
Yeah. Yeah, which I think a lot of online reviewers have probably been giving it, is that it's pretty below average.
Yeah.
It's a fairly average first-person shooter that doesn't really do anything new with the genre.
And mainly the only fun I'm really having with it is being a Colonial Marine walking around with a pulse rifle.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, but even then I imagine that has to wear pretty thin.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Especially seeing how short the darn campaign is.
Yeah. You think you might go back to it on the harder difficulty, or are you kind of done with it?
Yeah, I probably will, just because it's not being challenging at all.
You're just kind of punishing yourself, by doing
that. Yeah,
that.
I know. Just why I haven't gone back to it, but...
Yeah. And by the way, I would just like to state for the record, I didn't tell Andy, you should go out and buy this game and play it so that we can talk about it.
Yeah, no, I pretty much did it on my own.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, I can understand. I mean, I don't remember what was the last game.
I had a curiosity about it because I've heard all this shit about it. It's like, I wonder if it's actually that bad.
Yeah.
And then I saw it one day at Walmart, and it's just like, yeah, well, it's only $20. What the hell?
Yeah. I can't remember what game there was that I remember hearing about being shitty, and I bought it for cheap, and then played it, and was like, yeah, this game's pretty crappy.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I could remember what it was and whether or not I did a video on it. Hell, I did a video on the original Red Dead Revolver on the Xbox, and
oh Lord,
that game seemed really crappy. Really crappy. I mean,
why did you do that to yourself, man? Why?
Well, I mean, because as you know, I mean, up to that point, I had only played the Red Dead Redemption, and I really couldn't get into it. Yeah. And I kind of wanted to see how it started, and then apparently it started off really shitty, apparently.
Yep.
But yeah, and hell, I mean, I did a video on it, so for anybody who's curious, you can check that out. All right, well, I think we're going to leave it at that. I don't think there will be another Aliens Colonial Marines.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I think this has kind of killed the franchise.
Yeah.
If you can even call it a franchise at this point.
Yeah. Hell, I mean, we haven't really even heard anything about another Duke Nukem game. And the only other things that I'm reading about GearBox is that they acquired the rights to a game series called Homeworld, and they re-released, or I should say they released a couple of versions of it for Windows, and they are working on a new so-called IP, and I'm using quotes, called Battleborn, which basically looks like Borderlands, only the art style is slightly different. That's it. And do I care? No. Not really. I have no interest in it. Anyway, I would like to go back to Borderlands, because every once in a while I am reminded of why I do like it, and then various other times I'm reminded, this is why I don't like it, also.
Yeah.
But I would like to go back.
Enemies.
Respawning enemies, and the fact that whenever you use a health item, you have to wait for it to take effect. That is,
yep.
I'm sorry, that is still the stupidest fucking thing in the world.
Yep.
But I would like to try playing it with other people. See if I could actually, make that work, and if that would actually make the game more fun or anything like that. Who knows? We'll see. All right, everybody. This has been the Other People Podcast. In fact, I want to know what your people's thoughts are. What did you guys think about the Duke Nukem Forever or about the Aliens Colonial Marines? Hell, what do you think about GearBox in general? So let us know what you think, and we will see you guys next time for a brand new episode of the Other People Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at JMR83709, and Andy does not have any other form.
No internet.
No
I
internet.
live in the middle of nowhere.
Yes. All right, everybody. Hope that you've enjoyed. We'll see you next time. Ciao.
Goodbye.